When you see the AMG badge on any Mercedes, it's never just for show. We're talking about machines built purely for high performance and raw speed. Pure German muscle packing a monstrous V8 rumble that shakes the ground. It was this exact magic that drove the popular content creator Rex to make a wild decision, buying a 2008 Mercedes E63 AMG from an online auction for dirt cheap. But a massive trap was waiting for him behind the screen. The car had been in a brutal front-end collision that completely crushed its face, turning it into a dead pile of metal, sold only to those brave enough to gamble. Buying from auctions using just a smartphone seems easy until reality hits. The moment the flatbed arrived, the scene looked straight out of a horror movie. The car was literally scraping the floor because the air suspension system had leaked every drop of air due to the impact, making it impossible for the wheels to turn. The biggest headache arose when the team tried to open the trunk to access the battery, only to find it completely dead. In this specific model, everything is electronically controlled. Rex had to bypass the front fuse box to give the car a quick jump start just to pop the trunk and plug in a diagnostic scanner so they could manually lift the suspension side by side. With the car finally lifted and the wheels freed, it was time to dissect the corpse and see if the legendary 6.2-liter M156 V8 engine was still alive. If the engine was bricked, the project was dead before it even started. Rex drained the oil pan, releasing about 8.5 liters of a pitch-black, foul-smelling fluid. The first positive sign was that the oil was completely free of any metallic shimmer or iron shavings. To double-check, he literally cut the oil filter open with a knife and spread its paper core piece by piece. The results were completely clean of any copper bits or plastic timing guide debris. However, the front end was a catastrophic mess. Rex had to use an electric saw to hack away the twisted metal just to pull out the smashed headlights, uncovering a snapped serpentine belt and an entirely crushed radiator and oil cooler jammed straight into the cooling fan. When Rex tried to turn the ignition key after clearing some debris, the car flatly refused. The dashboard lit up with terrifying warning codes. The safety system had completely locked down the engine after the crash to prevent a fire. Enter Marco, a specialized Mercedes expert who brought a massive new battery that cost $500. After measuring the voltage and confirming that the computer recognized the key, Marco discovered that the electrical signal wasn't reaching the starter motor, either due to a severed wiring harness or a short circuit. Marco decided to make a bold, risky move, running a live wire directly from the battery to the starter to force the engine to crank, completely bypassing the car's computers. The moment the wire touched, the massive V8 roared to life for the first time, idling smoothly and breathing new hope into the team, despite a faint ticking noise from the top end, caused by a temporary lack of oil pressure. To cut down the insane costs of genuine AMG parts, Rex bought a 2007 Mercedes E280 donor car for $2,500, but plans on paper always crash into reality. The moment they stripped the front end, a frustrating surprise popped up. The cooling system components on AMG models are entirely different from standard E-Class cars. The AMG radiator is massively thicker to handle the intense heat of the 6.2-liter engine, and the cooling fan is much larger, relying on a smart control unit that didn't even exist on the donor car. The second blow came when Rex unbolted the donor car's fenders to cut out a section of the frame, only to discover that this car had also been in a violent accident before. Its chassis had been heavily stuffed with body filler and poorly welded back together, hiding the factory welds and making the frame completely useless. The focus shifted right back to the twisted AMG chassis. The left side was perfectly fine, but the right side had a visible crack and a severe bend. Rex used a drill with high precision to pop out the factory spot welds and remove the ruined sections without damaging the underlying layers. To straighten the car's bones, they brought in a Toyota Surf equipped with a massive 5.5-ton hydraulic winch. The first attempt failed miserably because the Mercedes kept pulling the Toyota forward, even with someone slamming on the brakes. The genius fix was chaining the Mercedes down to the workshop's heavy floor lift, anchoring it completely before pulling in the opposite direction. Amid a tense atmosphere with the looming fear that the lift might rip right out of the concrete, the bent steel slowly nudged back to its exact factory specs, allowing the new radiator support to line up flawlessly. Right in the middle of the chaotic workflow, Rex received a phone call that completely threw him off. His friend Fraser, a vehicle data expert who tracks car histories via the VIN, uncovered a dark, shady past behind the car. Online auctions are notorious for title washing and fraud, and Fraser discovered that this exact Mercedes had been flipped twice in 2023 alone, sitting abandoned for months while putting on barely any mileage. Even worse, it carried a sketchy record tied to past criminal activity. Despite these alarming red flags that spiked the project's risk, Rex chose to ignore the past and focus entirely on finishing what he started. The final assembly phase began, but small mechanical grieves kept popping up. The new metal pulley Rex installed for the power steering pump flew right off the moment the engine cranked for the first time because the pump shaft had been slightly bent in the crash. Rex handled it by using a hardened steel punch and a hammer to flare and rivet the pulley's edges directly onto the shaft, securing it for good. Meanwhile, Marco successfully rewired the harness and bypassed the locked shifter mechanism that was preventing the computer from recognizing gear inputs. For the first time, the car started normally with the key and moved forward and backward effortlessly. All that was left were the cosmetic touches to bring back that classic AMG prestige. The team stripped away all the cheap black vinyl wrap, or blackout, the previous owner used to hide the premium chrome trims. They removed the door handles, mirrors, and side skirts before renting the car to their friend, John, a master of bodywork and paint. The car rolled out of the paint booth looking brand new, sporting a deep, mirror-like black finish, with the original AMG badges reapplied precisely to the millimeter. Even when a final mechanical issue popped up, failed hydraulic engine mounts leaking fluid and causing violent vibrations, the team successfully swapped them out after a brutal battle inside the engine bay's tightest spaces. In the end, the total investment for the entire project hovered around $17,000, covering the auction car, the donor car, the paint job, and the specialty parts imported from America. That is an incredible bargain for a car whose clean market value easily reaches $35,000. This journey of resurrecting the Mercedes E63 AMG proved that true German muscle can always be brought back from the grave, as long as you have the grit, the right crew, and the patience to build it by hand.